suppose you could travel towards a black hole and see it, and see the lip of it, and notice it before you went in and over and down. That's what's known as the event horizon to physicists. Hawking had a gravely ill colleague in Cambridge who said if he knew he was definitely going to die, that's the way he'd like to go, be falling into the event horizon lip of the black hole, because in theory you'd be able to see the past and the future and time, except you wouldn't have quite enough time to do so. But there would be a grand way to check out if you were a physicist. Turn away from this, turn away from that. These incredible, majestic, awe-inspiring thoughts say that think about the burning bush instead. Think about the trivial miracles witnessed by sheep-herding peasants in Bronze Age Palestine. And think about the debt that they feel that we should incur for their sins. It was stated by Dr. Turek that the sins of these people, the transgressions of these people, and the debt they owe their Creator bind all of us as sinners. What a shame we're not perfect. What a shame there's nothing we can do about it. What a shame we're created already in prison and have to earn our emancipation. I tell you again, this is servility to the ultimate power. Now, there are people in this audience much better equipped than I to say that there is so far nothing in our natural world, to move away from the cosmological, there is nothing in our natural world, the globe we live on, that cannot be explained by random mutation combined with evolution by natural selection. Nothing works without that assumption. Everything works with it. There are lots of things that remain to be decided, but it's not a theory, or not just one. It does work, it is operational, it doesn't require a prime mover. Occam's razor says we should dispose of unnecessary, needless assumptions. That's what I propose we do in this case. I'll put it another way. How long would you say Homo sapiens has been on the planet? Francis, not Crick, excuse me, the author of the supervisor of the Human Genome Project. Collins, my new best friend and occasional debating enemy, thinks, well, not more than 500,000 years. Richard Dawkins thinks it could be as much as 750,000. I can sink the number, actually, if you like. We know that the species left Africa about 75,000 years ago, having probably shrunk down to about 2,000 or 3,000 people as a result of a terrible climatic disturbance, probably from Indonesia, probably from a predecessor of Krakatoa, which meant that we were this close to joining the 99.8% of all species ever living on the surface of this planet who became extinct. Some design, by the way. Profuse creation of millions and millions and millions of life forms, all to be wiped out, with not even anyone left to testify to their previous existence. We nearly joined that lot. Managed to get out of it just in time. Let's call it, I don't want Francis's million or 500,000 or Richard Dawkins' 75,000, whichever way around. Just give me that amount of time. Suppose we've only been around for 75,000 years. Monotheism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, shows up, what, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago at the most. Right? So if you give me my most microscopically small assumption of human existence, for at least 70,000 years, heaven watches as the human species is born, dies, usually of its teeth, usually at about 20, usually its infants having about a 9, 10, 2% chance of living beyond. I don't have to draw you a picture. Watches this with indifference. Thousands and thousands of generations, miserable, illiterate, starving, hungry. To say nothing of the wars they'll fight with each other. To say nothing of the cruelties they will inflict, as well as the ones they will suffer just from existence. And only 3 or 4, perhaps 5,000 years ago, heaven decides this is enough of that. It's time for an intervention. And the best way to do it would be in the most primitive part of the Middle East. Not in China, where people can read and have looked at telescopes. No, in the most primitive part of the Middle East, basically by offering human sacrifice to them. This is a doctrine that cannot be believed by anyone who's studied anything scientific, anything historical, anything archaeological, anything paleological, anything biological. Can't be believed by anyone. Can't be only believed by someone who wants to be a plaything and a slave of a pitiless totalitarian power. How glad we should be that the evidence for this ghastly entity is nil. Good. Thanks.
I'm going to stay out of the way and let them ask questions of each other. And the way that we've scheduled is 1 minute to ask and 5 to answer. And we'll try to stay to that. So
that's very generous.
If you, Dr. Turek, would like to go first, since you had already posed some questions to Mr. Hitchens.
How many times do we do that?
3 times. So you get 3 apiece.
Could I just propose, unless you really have 3 that you're dying to, I don't have 3 I'm trying to duck. But that seems a long time for the audience to have to wait, it seems to me. Could we do it 2, maybe, and get to their questions?
I have 6.
You have 6. I'm your witness, then.
So 3 was right. Dr. Turek.
Okay.
Christopher, what is your explanation for the beginning of time, space, and matter out of nothing?
Well, we don't know. I remember being asked by one of my children once when I said, well, what was there at the Big Bang? And I said, well, you have to imagine, this shows how poverty-stricken our own vocabulary is, and I suspect how poverty-stricken our own capacity is. In other words, I think there are some things, not that we don't understand or know, but that we cannot. So we're reduced to sort of primitive images. But I said, suppose you could picture all of matter, the whole of matter, condensed into, I got this from Hawking, I think, one of his colleagues, condensed into something like a very small, dense black suitcase of the kind you see people carrying money in crime thrillers. And it's about to fly open. That's what you'd have to be able, everything that's ever going to be is inside that. That was the best I could do. And I don't think many people could do, if I say it myself, that much better. But I was completely unhorsed because the kid said, well, what was outside the suitcase? And I thought, oh, well, I can't do that. And I don't know anyone who can. And that, in a way, would be my whole point. I don't have to know. You do. You're the one who says you know, not me. The theist and the deist say, oh, come on, we know. This is only possible with an author. It's only possible with a creator. It's only possible with a master and commander. It's only possible with a dictator. You're welcome. I don't need 5 minutes.
Is it fair to say, though, that if the creation was out of nothing, and that's the common view today, that the being that brought it into existence, the cause, whatever it was...
Don't say being. What ground do you have to say being?
Because to go from a state of non-existence to a state of existence, you need to make a choice.
No, you don't.
You don't?
No, you do not.
How does something that...
Where are you getting this choice from?
The choice, how does first of all, there was no nature, there was nothing. So if there was nothing, how do you get something from nothing without a cause?
How do you get, I can answer the same question in the way I did before. How do you get so much nothing from something? You look into the night sky, if you're in, say, the Carmel Peninsula. You can't do it from many parts of Virginia now, but if you are in certain parts of California, as I was recently, you can look into the night sky and see universes blowing up and bursting into flame every night of the week, several times. They had something, and it's all nothing now. Who's the author of that? Who mandated that? Who's the creator of that? Who's the dictator who demands that sacrifice?
The fact that things...
You're making a rod for your own back here.
No, the fact that things go out of existence, Christopher, doesn't mean that they're not designed. The typewriter is out of existence right now, thankfully. But the typewriter's designed. So the fact that the universe is going to heat death doesn't mean that it didn't have a designer at the beginning. And, of course, religious people believe that somebody's going to intervene to stop it before it does go. And even if,
they do?
Even if it doesn't...
Wait.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Even if nobody intervenes...
Do the religious among you...
It goes to heat death.
Excuse me. Did the religious among you, ladies and gentlemen, understand, I did not, that there will be an intervention to make an exception in our case?